Our generation, Gen Z, which I'm a part of, I believe that we are the generation who feels the need to prove, to show, to validate everything, but to validate everything to everyone who doesn't really matter, who proving it to is an inconsequential thing. And when we look at the history of humanity, we look at the influence that social media has had, even back as early and as recent as 2005, 2006, even 2007, 2008. The iPhone was in its infancy. Instagram was not a thing yet. Facebook was, MySpace was, but it was not the cult phenomenon. It did not reach as many homes or have as big of a consequence and lasting impact on our social lives, our society, and the spreading of information, and to much our destruction, disinformation. I think that, and I firmly believe that it's a dangerous thing. There are more videos on TikTok than there are people alive today. Someone could post something on there that could inspire someone to violence, could make people afraid, and it could be totally false. It could be a stretched truth. And we've removed ourselves so far from how people used to receive, engage, and take in and consume media. Back in the day, it was the radio and the newspaper. The TV became a bigger thing. The color TV made it more interesting to look at and watch, and retain people to watch it, not leave the room. Nowadays, it's social media. People used to plan what they'd wear based on magazines. They'd see the tabloids and magazines at the checkouts at the grocery store. They'd see TV shows. They'd see the news. They'd base their look, their fashion, what they wore off of that. Nowadays, there's 8.5 billion videos to view that on TikTok. And I think that it's something to think about and reflect on, because nowadays it's not just a matter of you seek out the media in which you want. Back in the 90s, even into the early 2000s, I'm not going to talk about the 60s, 70s, and 80s, because where I believe the Exodus event was when social media became so accessible and the smartphone became affordable from a supply chain and technology standpoint that it could be efficient enough, affordable enough, and I guess culturally acceptable enough for young people and all people in general to begin engaging and sharing on social media. That's what I believe to be a big change event. From the 30s to the early 2000s, to some change, obviously, but mostly it was you sought the media. You had to turn on the TV to watch advertisements. Now you have to watch advertisements if you want to listen to music on SoundCloud. If you want to watch a YouTube video, you become a trapped audience for at least 5 seconds. And if you wanted to read a magazine about fashion, about home decor, about a hobby, if you were into rocks and minerals or lapidary, you subscribed to a lapidary magazine. If you were into hunting and fishing, you subscribed to a Field and Stream. If you were a Republican, you listened to Republican talk shows on the radio or the TV. And if you were a progressive or a Democrat, you listened to Democratic radio programs on the radio in your car. Nowadays, the media is sometimes not by choice. And I think that there's something to be said about that. And back then, things were not politicized on the right or the left. Now they are. And in terms of, proving ourselves as a generation, we share a lot of things. Regardless if you're apolitical or politically involved on the right or left, we obviously feel the need to virtue signal. We feel the need to show that we really believe what we believe, that we support things, that we have emotion in times of stress. That is also where disinformation can be dangerous. As someone who's not straight myself, if I heard about some gay person or lesbian killed by the police, regardless if it were true or not, if I saw it on social media, I probably would have an emotional reaction and form an opinion based on what was said and based on the comments, etc. I'm a smart man, but I'm not impervious or immune to human emotion and their response that is emotional to hard things and tragic things and difficult situations and concepts in our society. It's important to remember that we're all human. No one's above that. And it's something to think about, that we have to look at our own biases and what we believe, but also our generation feels the need to prove everything to everybody who doesn't matter. For me, I spent the better part of 2 years trying to prove that I was faced with a homophobic injustice, which I was. But could I have spent my time more efficiently? Absolutely, I could have. But I felt the need to prove it. And part of that is obviously the value of social media. Part of it is feeling emotionally hurt and devastated by an injustice. And regardless what people overshare, what people need to validate or prove, they need to prove they're loved by the masses. They need to see their follower count increase, their like and count, their like and comment, statistics stay the same or grow. That's not important. Why do people try to prove to everybody but who matters? Why do we try to prove to people who aren't our families, who aren't our employers, our prospective employers, our prospective or current business partners? Why do we try to prove that? That's a good question. I also believe that the disinformation is highly dangerous. Social media has the power to make the world smaller, but it also has the power to destroy us. Our question is, what are our values? What do we see as the future? Thank you.